Republicans this morning are set to unveil a counterproposal to President Biden's latest infrastructure offer. Joining us right now for what we can expect is West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Capito. She's the ranking member of the Environment and Public Works Committee and the lead on the Republicans' infrastructure efforts. And Senator, thanks for being here today. I know this program, your counteroffer, is going to be coming later this morning at 9 a.m., so you can't tell us a lot about the details, but we have seen the administration step down pretty significantly what they were asking for. $1.7 trillion is their latest ask. What do you think the odds are that you can actually reach an agreement by the president's deadline that he set of Memorial Day for trying to see if there's any way that this can be done in a bipartisan manner?
Well, we're certainly inching closer, and I think it's very significant as well to note that yesterday out of our committee, Senator Carper and I passed a huge bipartisan surface transportation bill, which really is the anchor of this infrastructure package of $303 billion. And I think that shows the momentum for a bipartisan agreement. So, you know, we're still talking. I'm optimistic. We still have a big gap. But I think where we're really falling short is we can't seem to get the White House to agree on a definition or a scope of infrastructure that matches where we think it is, and that's physical core infrastructure. The White House is still bringing their human infrastructure into this package, and that's just a non-starter for us.
There have been reports that the president told you and other Republicans that $1 trillion is the bottom line, that he needs at least that much for it to be a package he could agree on. Is that what he told you, and will your offer today meet that threshold?
You know, the president told us a couple of things when we were in the Oval Office. He did mention the $1 trillion threshold. He also mentioned that an 8-year window for spending would suit his needs as well. He said, yes, include the baseline spending, which means the spending that's appropriated every year. So he understood that we're not going to touch the 2017 tax cuts. Now, I'm not saying he agreed with that, but he understood our position there, and that we didn't consider human infrastructure, physical infrastructure. So we're going to meet all the metrics that the president himself laid out for us, and we'll get close to his number. And I think we're going to include a lot of the things that are important to all of us and to him in the core infrastructure space.
Mitch McConnell is coming on a little later this morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. He'll be on CNBC. He's been the one who has said that there's a hard line on this, that they will not be, the Republicans will not accept anything that touches those 2017 tax cuts, as you just mentioned. Is there any way that you would compromise on that? Do you see you yourself being able to vote for something that would raise corporate taxes to a lesser level than the administration has asked for, or is that completely off the table?
I think it's completely off the table. Look, the tax cuts of 2017 led to a roaring economy that we saw pre-pandemic. We know that. But also, we can do this without touching those tax cuts. And we can do it by repurposing COVID dollars. If we look at the states that are now no longer taking the enhanced unemployment, there's a resource right there for us. We're looking at a financing mechanism for like a revolving fund for infrastructure that you would put some dollars in and get a much greater private investment. User fees. The president has taken user fees off the table, even for electric or hydrogen vehicles. Well, we disagree with that, so we're going to keep pushing that. So I think we can do this without touching that tax bill, and I think it can be fully paid for, and I think that's the goal that we're trying to go for.
The New York Times just has a story that's out that says that President Biden on Friday is going to be proposing a $6 trillion budget that would take the United States to the highest sustained levels of federal spending since World War II. If I'm doing the math correctly, I think that's a 25% increase over the $4.8 trillion existing budget. And that compares to what we've seen in years past, where you generally see closer to a 3% rise for the budget. What would your thoughts be on a plan like that?
You know, I saw that early this morning, and I mean, it just seems like the trillions just keep on coming. There's already been a $1 trillion rescue plan. The president wants to spend trillions of dollars on infrastructure in non-traditional ways. He also put another caring $1 trillion package out. I mean, come on. We need to take into consideration that people are getting back to work, the economy's moving back, but a 25% increase year to year is just outrageous, in my opinion.
let's go back to this idea for the transportation. If there's for the infrastructure bill, if there's a bipartisan agreement, $1 trillion sounds like something both sides could live with. It may be the paying for it that's the real sticking point. I realize you've said that you are not willing to budge on raising taxes, on changing the 2017 tax bill, but if there's no bipartisan deal, the Democrats, if they can keep their party in line, can do this without you. Most of it. They can do a reconciliation. So is there a chance that by refusing to go ahead and concede on any of those issues, they somehow get their party together and they do this closer to the $2.7 trillion bill that they wanted to do originally? And then where would you be?
Well, that's a big if. And my response to that is, if the president had the votes and if the majority party thought they could push this through in any form or in the fashion that they want, why aren't they doing that now? And I think also at the heart of this is the president's expressed desire, and he repeated this in the Oval Office for the several times I've been able to meet with him, that he wants to work towards bipartisanship. At the heart of him is a senator who has negotiated, and I think he really wants to pursue this on a bipartisan way, on an area that we've always had bipartisan agreement on. So yes, they could go ahead and push this, but they can do that today. I think I'd rather have this solid piece that I can take home and say, look, West Virginia, this is what we did for you on important matters like roads and bridges and airports and broadband and other things. So we're just going to keep pursuing. I'm kind of keeping my eye on the ball here and hoping that today moves it further, and we'll see what happens.
Every report I've read says that they think the president wants to do what you've just said, but he also has a liberal flank pulling him to the other direction, and the staff, when the staff comes in, the tone tends to change. So where do you think this really comes out? He may want to do a deal that's down the middle, but he also has to answer to his own party.
Well, in our experience, that's been a bit what's happened. We went in and talked with the president, the six of us, and talked about our desires and how we could meet each other. And the president really expressed a desire to try to get to $1 trillion over 8 years, include baseline spending, see if we can match up that way. And that's what we're going to present today. And so I think that then as we've had further negotiations, it's kind of gotten pulled back. That's frustrating, but I'm sure they have some frustration on their side as well. So I wouldn't say there's probably some shared frustration. So, I think it's going to depend on what desire we have here to work bipartisan, what the other Democrat senators in the Senate, how they feel. We're working a bill right now called the Endless Frontier, which is part of the president's initiative that he first laid out on his infrastructure. It's competing with China, it's research and development, it's chip manufacturing and other things. So, we can include that as part of the package. Even though it's not physical infrastructure, we can say, okay, Mr. President, you're getting part of your agenda through regular order, through legislation in a bipartisan way. That's the third vehicle that we've done this on. So I'm not pie in the sky here. This is going to be a tough hurdle, but it's worth pursuing because I think it will constrain spending into the areas that I think are most important.
Sounds like it will be a very closely watched issue over the next several days, and we'll see if we get any sort of bipartisan agreement before that Memorial Day deadline. But Senator Capito, I want to thank you for being with us this morning.
All right. Thank you all.